Ex-girlfriend threatened to file false charges unless I sign over my house to her. So I gave her a new home that she'd never escape from. Prison. I, 29M, grew up in a small, tight-knit neighborhood where everyone kinda knew everyone's business. My parents, both in their early 60s now, always preached that you gotta stand up for yourself if someone tries to screw you over. I never thought I'd end up in a situation where I'd need that advice so badly, but damn, life is full of nasty surprises. I have my own place, a house I got from my late uncle. It's not in a fancy area, but it's got a lot of sentimental value. My uncle was basically my favorite relative, the only one who really got me. When he passed, he left me the house, and I've been slowly renovating it whenever I've had the time and spare cash. A couple of years back, I met my ex-girlfriend, just call her X. We hit it off at a friend's barbecue. She was new in town, had that flirty vibe, and kinda pulled me in right away. We bonded over random things like classic cars. Weirdly enough, she acted interested in them, and late-night takeout. She had this wild streak, always down for spontaneous road trips or partying with new people. It was fun at first. I was never the type to jump into serious relationships, but her energy was addictive. Things got serious pretty fast. My parents told me to slow the hell down, but I didn't listen. At first, everything was great, but I started seeing these weird red flags. She'd make these jokes about only dating guys who could give her some financial cushion. I wasn't sure if she was kidding or not, but something about her tone told me she half meant it. Then she started pushing me to buy her stuff, expensive bags, shoes, whatever she felt like she deserved. I'm not rich, but I'm not broke either. Still, I'm not about to blow thousands just because she snapped her fingers. Whenever I said no, she'd flip out, sometimes not talking to me for days. That was exhausting, but I still tried to see the good in her. My friends and family kept warning me that she seemed kinda manipulative. At first, I brushed them off because she did have moments of genuine kindness. But looking back, I think a lot of that was just her turning on the charm whenever she realized I was pulling away. She'd be super sweet right after a big fight, like she was trying to reel me back in. I fell for it more times than I'd like to admit. Then, about a year into dating, she started practically living at my house. It wasn't even subtle. She brought her own furniture, rearranged my stuff without asking, and invited her friends over all the damn time. One day, I came home from a long shift, and my beloved old couch, which had sentimental value, was gone. She'd tossed it because she said it was ugly and gross, and replaced it with some secondhand couch she got from a friend. I was too beat to fight, but it pissed me off. That couch had been with me since college, and it was mine, you know? She also kept hinting about marriage, saying things like, if we got married, we could put both our names on the house and all our stuff would be combined. It was always about combining assets, never about actually wanting to build a life together. When we argued about it, she'd pull out the classic line, "You just don't love me enough to make me feel secure." Total bullshit. I loved her, but I wasn't about to hand over my uncle's house. That house was more than property. It felt like a piece of family history. Things exploded about 6 months ago when she flat out demanded I sell the house and move somewhere upscale. I refused. She lost her mind, accusing me of being cheap and unambitious. She stormed off and went radio silent for 3 days. Part of me was actually relieved to have peace and quiet. When she finally came back, she acted all sweet again, as if nothing happened. But soon after, I realized her real motive was to push me to put her name on the deed. That's when alarms started going off in my head. It wasn't about us, it was about the house. We kept arguing, and eventually I had enough. I told her we were done. She pretended to be shocked, but then gave me this creepy smirk. It was like she was already plotting her next move. A week later, she took her crap out of my place, blocked me on social media, and vanished. I was relieved, but I also had this nagging feeling she wasn't done with me yet. Sure enough, a couple months later, she showed up at my door out of nowhere. She acted all frantic, talking about wanting to patch things up. I wasn't buying it. She quickly cut to the chase. She wanted me to sign over my house to her. Her logic was that she'd earned it by spending so much time with me. I nearly laughed in her face. I told her to get lost, and that's when she dropped the bomb. Sign it over, or I'll file charges and say you abused me. I'll make sure everyone believes it. She was basically threatening false assault allegations. My heart sank because I knew how serious that could get. I heard horror stories of innocent people getting their lives wrecked by fake accusations. She told me I had until she came back with papers to think about it. I slammed the door on her. That night, I told my parents everything. My mother freaked out, worrying I'd get arrested over some made-up story. My father, usually calm, was furious. He told me to lawyer up ASAP, so I found a local attorney through a friend. I laid out the entire situation. The attorney said it sounded like extortion and recommended I document everything, record conversations if it was legal, keep any texts, and basically gather proof. He said we might be able to press charges for blackmail if she actually tried to follow through on her threats. I installed a security camera at my front door that recorded audio too, which was allowed under our state's laws since it was my property and I was aware of it. I also carried a small voice recorder around in case she cornered me in public. Sure enough, about a week later, she showed up again. This time she caught me in my driveway, waving these sketchy-looking papers, demanding I sign them or she'd ruin me. She went on about how she'd do whatever it took to get the house. It was all recorded on camera. I basically told her to screw off and walked back inside. My lawyer was stoked when he saw the footage because it was clear-cut evidence of her threatening me. But he warned me that if she filed a false police report, it could be a battle to prove my innocence. I started getting paranoid at work, always thinking she'd pop in and make a scene. My boss could see I was on edge. I gave him a partial explanation, and he said he had my back if I needed time off or a witness to my whereabouts. That gave me some relief. Then it happened. I got a call from the cops, asking me to come in for questioning about an alleged assault. My ex had gone and filed a complaint claiming I'd physically abused her multiple times. I felt sick. I showed up with my attorney, explained the entire blackmail scenario, and gave him every piece of evidence, security footage, texts, and my work schedule showing I was actually at the shop when she claimed certain incidents took place. The detectives seemed annoyed that she'd wasted their time. They asked if I'd let them see my phone records. I said, hell yes, I had nothing to hide. Within a few days, the detective contacted me saying they found a bunch of inconsistencies in her story. She had no solid proof, just old or fake photos that didn't match up with her claims. Basically, the cops were pretty sure she was lying, but they had to continue investigating. I was relieved, but also pissed. She was trying to weaponize the justice system to steal my damn house. If that's not the most twisted form of entitlement, I don't know what is. She didn't stop there. She even showed up at my parents' house, pounding on the door, yelling about how I was ruining her life. My father told her to get lost or he'd call the police himself. She screamed back that she was the victim here. My mother was so shaken, she barely slept for days. The stress was unreal. At this point, the detective was in regular contact with my attorney, gathering more evidence that she was basically orchestrating a big fat lie. One day, I got this letter in the mail, supposedly from her attorney, demanding I settle the property dispute out of court or face a giant lawsuit for emotional distress. It looked so fake, shady letterhead, no legit firm name or phone number. My attorney confirmed it was forged, so we turned it over to the detective. Now we had proof of forgery added to her pile of offenses. She was digging her own grave, but I guess she thought she was untouchable. My aunt, who's a retired social worker, came by when she heard about the drama. She dealt with manipulative clients and gave me a pep talk, saying I was lucky I had physical evidence. She also said some people will do anything if they think they can get away with it, so I needed to keep documenting everything. Finally, after what felt like forever, a few months of pure chaos, the detective told me they had enough to recommend charges against her for filing a false report, attempted extortion, and forgery. Basically, they believed my story and had the evidence to prove it. The prosecutor was ready to roll if she didn't back down. My father was over the moon, telling me, "You stood your ground, son. This is what happens when you don't let bullies win." We had to go through some pre-trial hearings. Watching her sit there, trying to look all innocent, made my blood boil. She glared at me like I was the scum of the earth. But every time her lawyer tried to poke holes in our evidence, it just made her look worse. The judge didn't seem impressed by her sob stories. Eventually, she realized she was cornered and tried to negotiate a plea deal. In the end, she pleaded guilty to forgery and filing a false report, and they dropped the extortion charge. But she still got actual jail time because forging legal documents and lying to the cops is serious shit in our state. Walking out of the courthouse that day felt surreal. My parents were there, And my father gave me a hug, muttering something like, "She wanted a house so bad, she got a new home courtesy of the state." Honestly, that line stuck with me. She tried so hard to steal my place, but in the end, she locked herself up. Talk about karma. Word spread around town. People who used to think she was just a fun, outgoing girl realized she was actually manipulative AF. Some of her old friends couldn't believe how far she went. Others said they weren't shocked at all, that they'd always sensed something off about her. I'm not one to enjoy gossip, but I'd be lying if I said it didn't feel satisfying to see her finally exposed for who she was. Even after sentencing, she had the nerve to write me a letter from jail, saying she was misunderstood and begging me to support an early parole for her. I tore that shit up immediately. She showed me zero mercy when she tried to ruin my life, so I had no sympathy left. My father said that was the right call. She made her choices, and now she's got to deal with them. We had a few last-minute curveballs. She tried to claim mental health issues, that she was in a dissociative state when she faked everything. The judge ordered a quick evaluation, but nobody was buying her story. The evidence was way too solid. So she's behind bars now, and I'm free to live my life without constantly looking over my shoulder. I still wake up some mornings and can't believe how close I came to losing everything. If I hadn't been proactive, installing cameras, hiring a lawyer, and collecting every piece of evidence, she might have run me into the ground. False allegations can destroy lives, man. I'm lucky my boss, my parents, and even my aunt were there to back me up. To be honest, it's kind of made me cautious about dating. I know not everyone's like her, but when you go through something that insane, it leaves a mark. I'm taking it slow, hanging out with my buddies, maybe throwing myself into extra shifts at the shop. One day, I'll be ready to meet someone new, but right now, I'm focusing on my house, my uncle's house. I'm planning to remodel the kitchen, finally fix up the roof, maybe plant a small garden in the backyard. Small steps to make it more like the home I've always wanted. I guess the big lesson here is, if someone starts acting entitled to your stuff, especially something as big as a house, don't just brush it off. Document everything. Protect yourself. And don't be afraid to fight back legally. I learned the hard way that some people will cross lines you didn't even know existed. Anyway, that's pretty much it. She threatened me with false charges if I didn't hand over my home. I refused, gathered receipts, and ended up flipping the script on her. Now she's stuck in a cell, all because of her own greed and manipulation. It's not the fairy tale ending I used to hope for when we first started dating, but it sure as hell beats letting her steal my uncle's house. And yeah, I'll admit there's a twisted sort of poetic justice in seeing her land in a place she can't escape after she tried so hard to force me out of my own home. That's my story. It still blows my mind how fast someone can go from being the love of your life to your worst nightmare. But if nothing else, it taught me that I'm stronger than I thought, and that no one has the right to threaten you into giving up what's rightfully yours. If she wanted a free house so badly, she definitely ended up getting one, behind bars. Good luck to her with that. I'm just glad I'm done with all that drama and can finally move on.